So hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show, and I'm excited to bring on my next guest. Let's say hello to Kelli Leigh. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Lewis. How are you doing?
Really good, thanks. I'm really excited to get you on the show today because for anyone that looks at your Instagram, for instance, you mentioned that a lot of people know the voice, but not necessarily the person behind the voice,
Yeah.
which I think is crazy in your situation because going back to obviously one of the tracks that everybody will know you for, which is "I Got You," which was one of the biggest hits, streamed hundreds and hundreds of millions of times, but you're not credited.
No, I'm not. I sang that as a session job years ago. Well, I'm back in my session singing days to pay my rent. And yes, then that song absolutely blew up and it was crazy. I was hearing my voice everywhere.
But that for me, I find baffling because I love music and it's the voice normally that I love. And I think with that track, it's the voice that everybody loved. But to not know who that voice was, it is crazy. So what is that like for you as an artist, somebody that's worked really hard, to get where they are and are passionate about the music industry, to not get the recognition and credit that they do deserve?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for saying how much you love the song. Yeah, do you know what? It was very bittersweet. I was very excited, but I was very green at the time. I had no management, no representation, nothing. And that's when I've then started to ask questions like, what does this mean? Should my name be on this record? Or should I, have been contracted to do this record or anything? Like I had no information given to me at all, apart from the producer I was working with to record the session vocal. But I'd worked with him for years, so I just trusted him and what we were doing. I'd previously sang "Cry Just a Little" for the Bingo Players, which was a big record as well. So that had sort of gone big, but then it wasn't like "I Got You" big. So I think maybe from that last song, probably should have had some alarm bells going. But when you're like young and green in the industry, and and you're just paying your rent, you kind of just get on with things. And also, you kind of don't want to rock the boat because your reputation is everything in getting another job, etc. But yeah, when I Want to Feel went to number one a month after "I Got You," things I started to question things and be like, well, what is going on here? What do I need to do?
Did you ever later on get the credit that you deserve, or a thank you, or I don't know, a gift or something to say, look, thanks for what you did? Because I still find it crazy.
That is an amazing question. Weirdly, no one's asked me that. Everyone asks me about these songs and everything, but no one's asked me that. And actually, no, I didn't. I sang another three records for Duke Jamon. I sang I Give Her a Prize, Melt and Be Here, which I both co-wrote. And Give Her a Prize, I added like my ad lib flexions and stuff. And no, I was never ever given a thank you. I was told I was just a session singer, and I was lucky to have sung those records. So yeah, I didn't have any acknowledgement. I didn't have much acknowledgement for Second City either. And to be honest, that was really disappointing. And funny, as I'm hearing myself say it like out loud now, I'm being really bold with this because it's kind of something I've sort of said before quietly and not really named anything, but also I'm kind of tired of it. And you've asked a really good direct question. I didn't ever get a thank you for singing me a number one record. And to be honest, when I ended up I actually did Love Too Deep for Ferric Dawn and Redondo that same year. And that went top 40. And those guys were so sweet. Like Ferric Dawn was one of the first ones going online going, this is Kelli Leigh. She sang this record. She's amazing. And Redondo was super cool as well. And then when I did More Than Friends with James Hype, like James and his whole team and his management were like, no, we want your name on the record. Like you're a legend in dance music. You're amazing. And that was the first like few times that I was actually getting respect for what I'd done and the work I'd done with Low Stepper as well, with Run In, like Low Stepper and his manager were wicked. So it was like I had to sort of find my feet because something I wanted to be deeply proud of, and I still am. And I perform those songs in shows and they always have an amazing reaction, and I love hearing people say like, I Got You, for example, means so much to them because it reminds me of a holiday they were on or something. But I think definitely the relationship around those records wasn't a fun, joyful, smooth experience.
I hope one day you do get the just, I don't know, something would be nice because you kind of in that situation, you can look back and think, right, do you know what? This is a huge success. The least we can do is just give a thank you, a public acknowledgement, something just to say, look, you absolutely smashed it. But who knows, maybe in the future that will happen.
Well, I'm lucky to be sitting here with you today and you're having me on the show, so it all works out.
Well, do you know, we're going to talk about your Christmas EP in just a moment because it's incredible. But I want to kind of go back to the beginning for you, which is where your love and passion for music actually came from. Did you kind of grow up around music? Were your family involved in music?
Yeah, absolutely. Like my mum was a singer-songwriter, and I mean, she loves like U2 and Maxi Priest and Sam Cooke, and so I grew up listening to them. And then two of my uncles, my uncle Chris was a drummer in Paris, and he was touring with Saint-Germain, and then my uncle Mikey was an amazing singer, and he was in the Flying Pickets and doing loads of cool stuff all the time. I mean, I think there was a time when I was 3 or something. Mum said we with Uncle Mikey was often on TV, and I saw Uncle Mikey on TV, and I tried to climb into the TV to get to him. So yeah, we were definitely a musical family, a musical household. Yeah.
I mean, with what you're doing now, I understand that you've actually got your own music label. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. I mean, in after More Than Friends went top 10, I was really excited because I was kind of then hoping that, record labels would bang down my door. Because when you grow up and you want to be a singer in music industry, like, I grew up watching like, Destiny's Child and Whitney and Prince and Eternal. And,
Yeah.
so I thought someone will come and find me and make it happen and make my dream happen. And no, that didn't happen. And I was inundated with requests and labels and managers and DJs wanting me to sing and write records for them, but no one was really interested in me as an artist. And so I set up my own label to be heard, and my first release was a song called Do You Want to Be Loved Like This, which James Hype produced. And that was the other cool thing about him. He was the first producer I worked with who said, hey, look, you sang me this record, so you talking about did someone give you thanks? It was him. He went, you sang me More Than Friends, you smashed it, let me produce a record for you. And so that was really cool. And again, like me just sort of going along with stuff and trying to find my place in this industry, I just couldn't believe he'd said that. And yeah, Do You Want to Be Loved Like This, he produced, and that was my first solo release on my own label. And I ended up doing Red Fest Dubai, and the song ended up trending on Virgin Radio out there on the Chris Fade show, who's kind of like our Greg James. And it was amazing to see this reaction to me and my music. It was like trending on Shazam, but then because it was all on my own label and I didn't have any infrastructure or support, I kind of missed that wave because I didn't know what any of it meant, but I just knew it was very exciting. And I remember my friend Chris Fade from his show saying, look, people are calling up the station to request to have your song played. Like, this is amazing, and you've done this yourself. So that was kind of my first outing as me.
So I think that's kind of as well what for me would separate you as a singer to an artist, and the reason you are an artist, because a lot of people, it's easy nowadays, you can go on a big show and get a record contract and everything's done for you. You just put the vocals on the track and you've got all the support behind you. But it seems when the opportunities came to you, you just didn't have the people in the background to help support you and say, right, we're doing this is the direction. So you've got all these opportunities, but you don't really know how to go forward. Whereas now, with your, learning from that, having your own label, you can do you, be authentic, be you as an artist, and have a full say and control in what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I love that. And I love the creative control because the songs you're hearing, they are literally me. That's my songwriting. That's my vision. That's my sounds. And like, I've worked with amazing producers and writers over my last couple of records. And this EP, it's just been a really great experience. But then I suppose with everything, it's ups and downs because it is me and it's entirely my label. So everything falls on my shoulders and my manager, and, trying to get support with radio play and Spotify and Apple and all that kind of stuff, and then budgeting everything because obviously my label, so I pay for everything. So I definitely love that creative control and freedom of putting me out because I had to do it to like you said, prove to people that I was an artist, not just a singer who sings records for other people. But then there's definitely sometimes that frustration that if I had a team or like a major label behind me or something, I feel like I could achieve so much more, because most of it is really just about the reach and marketing, and being able to be put in key places. That's the thing that, you know, the powerful labels have. They have the connections and the knowledge and the expertise. And when you're an indie, you're literally kind of like, you know, back in the day, like when people would have street teams going out into like record shops and selling your vinyl, putting your flyers out, or having a mixtape, that's kind of like what it is now, but like online. You're kind of online on your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever, just going, hey, listen to our new track and what do you think, you know? And then you have to like choose a varying degree of like who you are as an artist and a person and what you're comfortable with. And then the levels of that, to some people will go on and be like, rate my song, like score it out of 10. And that could be a really good marketing thing. And someone suggested I do that. And then I also thought, I don't know if I want to go online and say, rate my song. I kind of just, if you like it, great. Then if you don't. But I really don't want user 3, 6, 7, 5, 9, 12 telling me that it was a 6 because they didn't write a better second verse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, start giving you little critiques. No, you know what?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that you actually worked with Adele? You know, you sang
Yes.
as in her band. What was that like? Because she is just a powerhouse in the industry.
Yes. She is. Do you know what? I remember, I will never forget our first rehearsal, and we were at Terminal Studios in London Bridge, and it was just her and us BVs whilst some of the band was setting up, and we were just running some bits. And when she sang, and I can't remember if she had like an SM58 in hand, or she just sang in the room. I just remember like she wasn't like fully mic'd up or anything. It wasn't like anything grand, and she just sitting like on the floor or a chair or something. Like it was just really low key, and she just opened her mouth and started singing, and I was just like, this voice, and I think I like just got goosebumps across my arm straight away. And yeah, we did the rolling the deep. When she released that, I performed at the Royal Variety performance with her, and that was one of my first proper BV jobs as well. I'd done like a couple of bits and pieces here and there, but that was my first like real serious BV job, like in the dressing room, changing, running it over and over again, just thinking, you're gonna wish you, like, just do not mess this up because it's live on TV, you know, kind of thing. And it was just the most surreal, mind-blowing, amazing experience. Like, I'd never been to America before, and when I got offered the tour manager sent me this list of dates which were like, you know, like Europe and then America, and yeah, it was just crazy. But then whilst we were on the tour, obviously she was Adele, and then she was Adele because she released Rolling in the Deep. And I can't remember if Set Fire to the Rain came in when she was already like hitting that stratosphere thing, or that kind of happened there. But the first part of the tour we did over Europe was small venues, like intimate venues. And it was pretty amazing to see, and to see her now like doing Vegas, to those small intimate shows, like somewhere in Madrid. I can't remember what the venue was called, but you know, you could hear a pin drop, and there was probably like 400 people in the room, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, and the stage, you know, was a small stage, and we all fit in there. But she held the audience with every single note she sang and every lyric she spoke about. You know, it was amazing.
Do you still keep in touch with her, or have any kind of communication? Because you were with her during that tour. I imagine you would have built some kind of friendship.
I love when people ask me that. No, not really. Aww. I mean, she's super famous now. So no, I haven't heard from her since when I sang for her back then. But you know, one of my best friends, Katie Holmes Smith, is now her backing vocalist on the tour, and my other half's best mate is the bass player. And you know, I'm friends with the band, so I do keep in touch with the band a lot, and you know, we're friends. But yeah, I think she's way too famous for me now.
Well, do you know, it's amazing because you're doing something a bit different now with your Christmas EP, and you've come out and you've released. And I've got to say, Unwrap My Heart. You know, when you listen to a Christmas song, and a Christmas song's got to be something that you need to listen 10 times over, and it's addictive. And that's exactly what you've done with Unwrap My Heart. And it's got classic Christmas hit written all over it. I mean, you must have had a good reaction to this.
Oh, thank you so much, Lewis. I really appreciate that. I really have actually, and it's been so like it just means a lot to my heart because, again, that's me and writing the Christmas EP for me. It's just been a real fun freedom and exercise in writing pop and like magic. And for me, I'm a big Christmas girl, I'm a big Christmas fan, and I love this time of year. I love the magic of it all, the lights. I love shopping for presents for family and friends, and the food and everything. And although I do love dance music and I love pop dance music, sometimes it can feel a little bit restrictive because everybody, when you're writing dance music, wants a hit or wants something that's big. So it's either got to be a big club banger, like hit hard, be massive, or it needs to fall into that kind of pop dance radio hit. So it can be a big hit on radio and then you do the club. So, there's definitely like this kind of formulaic structure sometimes, which you can feel a little bit boxed into. So writing the Christmas EP made me feel like I could spread my writing wings and be free with the lyrics. Like when I wrote Underneath the Tree, which was my first release, which came out last year, with St. Louis, like we went into the studio together and it was my last session of 2019. And I just was like a bit dance musicked out. And I just said to him, we'd never met before. I didn't know what he was going to say, what he was going to be like. And I just said, look, I just really want to write a Christmas record. And I did. I kind of don't know where it fully come from. Like I love Christmas music, but I just suddenly in that moment was like, do you know what? This is what I want to do today. And he turned around going, oh my God, I'd love to write a Christmas record. I've always wanted to do that. So then we just spent like the next, like, half an hour, 45 minutes just listening to Christmas magic and getting inspiration from, the old school Perry Como to Mariah to, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, Brenda Lee, to Leona, to then like Whitney and Tina. And then, we just went in with that record, like the soulful chords, the BVs, the 3 key changes at the end. And then when it came around to doing Unwrap My Heart a year later with Sean Mack and Dom Liu, aka Kingdoms, who are awesome, I wanted to make sure that they were very separate records, but they still sounded like me. And so Unwrap My Heart, I wanted to be a bit more of this kind of, because Underneath the Tree is like full, like pop Christmas, like baubles blazing. I want to say guns blazing, but it doesn't work because it's Christmas. So baubles on fire, like, candy canes and tinsel and everything. Whereas Unwrap My Heart is a hug and and warm and nostalgic and comforting, and and it's just so fun. I love it. Love writing this music.
Well, I mean, like I'm sent a lot of songs, and when I was sent, you never know what you're gonna get when you receive the song. Sometimes like, oh. But when I was sent your track, I was like, oh my God. And it was so addictive. And it was funny that you mentioned some of the names you did, because I literally felt it was between a Leona Lewis and Mariah Carey track. It was just the vocal, the harmony, everything about it. And I think if this is now played as much as it needs to be, I think you've got the Christmas hit with this, because it genuinely is one of the best Christmas tracks I've heard in a very long time. And I genuinely mean that.
Oh, thank you so much, Lewis. I really appreciate that. Well, do you know what? That would be a dream come true. I mean, I know Mariah's just hit #1 again, so maybe in 30 years' time, Unwrap My Heart would be #1. But yeah, I mean, and also, I went to school with Leona. She's an amazing person, amazing artist. I actually sang backing vocals on her Christmas with Love album. So you can hear me on One More Sleep and Mr. Right and those records. And that was an incredible experience recording with Biff Stannard, that album. Goodness, he's such an incredible producer. And Ash, that was amazing. And myself and Katie Holmes Smith, who now sings BBs with Adele, we did BBs together on that record, and we sang everything into one mic. We didn't have separate mics, and it was so funny because our blend, we used to sing together all the time because we toured with Leona as well. So our blend was amazing, and the harmonies that we do, I'd generally go alto and she'd go up top, and it would just be wonderful. But that there was one song, it's Christmas snow's going down. Katie and I had to hold Christmas But because we were singing into one microphone and we were on one headphone mix, and we really wanted to impress Biff also because he did all the Spice Girl stuff, like he's just an absolute songwriting production legend. It was so fun because we were nailing everything and he was super impressed with us. And then when it came to this one note, Christmas, like we were just phasing with each other, and like I think one of us was going sharp and one of us was going flat because we couldn't hear each other. It was like Christmas.
Oh no.
And we were just looking at each other like going Christmas, like trying to hold the note. It was just the funniest thing, but we were both like really bricking it at the same time because we were like going to Biff, really sorry. He's like, no, like don't worry about it. He was just super chilled. But after we just like nailed everything else, it was like the simplest thing to hold one note. But because we kept hearing each other, because also when you're singing with someone as well, you get used to each other's voices. In her headphone mix, I'd sound really loud to her, and then in my headphone mix it would be the other way around. She'd be really loud to me and I couldn't really hear me. So that was so funny doing that back then. And actually Katie then sang BB's on Underneath the Tree for me, which was my first Christmas release, so that was a really sweet moment.
I've got to say, what I love, especially I've got from this interview, is you have every reason, in theory, to be resentful to the music industry because you've literally had so much success but not had the recognition that you deserve. Yet what you've done is actually turn this around, fine-tuned everything, and you're doing the best version of you as an artist, and that's what you're putting out there. I think that's incredible. So thank you for coming on today.
Oh, thank you. That actually made me feel emotional. That was so sweet of you to say. Thank you. And you know what? It's definitely been highs and lows and ups and downs. And sometimes you do have those moments where you just feel, I've had moments like the beginning of this year, I felt like I was going to have to break up with my career in this industry because I was so down and so frustrated of just wanting someone to come along and help, basically. And I had my first ever signed single last year, which I was so excited about. It did over 2.5 million streams, got playlisted on radio, and then I never got my option with the label, which was really surprising to me because that song had actually done better than some of the other artists on the roster at the time. So I just felt deeply gutted, and I just picked myself back up and went, all right, let me go again. And that's when I released New Chic at the beginning of the year, which was kind of April. And then I had my first national radio support, big up Dean McCulloch, who supported me from Gadio all the way to Radio 1, which was a real moment. And there's definitely been moments where you just feel like, can I do this anymore? And you do sometimes get those feelings of resentment, but then that's also not cute. So, you know, you have to just park sometimes that negative energy and think about the positives. And my dream was to be an artist, and my dream was to be a singer from being a little girl. And I just had to keep going, and to be able to sit here with you today and hear you say these really lovely things about the songs that I've written and who I am, it means the world to me. So it means I'm on the right path. So thank you for having me on your show. And you look extremely dapper, and I wish I dressed up.
Thank you. So I want to quickly ask this before you go. Obviously, we know about the Christmas EP and it's doing really well. But what about going forward to 2023? Is there anything that you can tell us about? Maybe an upcoming album, new release, tour?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I've got a track with Hicks, which is currently trending in Ireland. Oh no, you didn't. And that's currently on Top 40 Radio in Ireland and shazamming really well. So we're going to carry that into January. And then I've got collabs coming with Jess Bays and Marshall Jefferson, heading out to LA in January for Grammy season, because now I'm a Grammy nominated songwriter on Diplo's album. Kai wrote Forget About Me with the Luna. So that was pretty cool to see that come in. So I'll be heading back out there for sessions. And then I think I'll be dropping my next single around March time. So,
well,
yeah,
hopefully we'll have you back on the show in March. And
that would be amazing.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, if I'm back, I'll wear something fancy to match your suit. Promise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.